One. One. What up, what up, what up, everybody? A2HH live on a Monday afternoon. How you doing today, Coop?
Doing well. How are you?
Oh, doing well, man. It's a nice, beautiful day. We got the fall weather jumping off, and things are cool out a little bit. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man. We got some new music out there that everybody's talking about. It's good to see everybody talking about new music and forging these conversations. We're really having I guess, a generational gap thing going on. Thumbs up in the chat, everybody. Thumbs up in the chat. We want to get people in here today. We're gonna have a real hip hop discussion today. Um, First things first, bro. I know we don't. I know we got a lot to get into. The speculation is over when it comes to the OutKast thing. So the OutKast Concrete Jungle, it was announced, and I think some people probably tagged us in it or even spoke about it in our previous episode. But it's official. The Concrete Jungle OutKast Mass Appeal thing is more it's action figures, right? Mass Appeal posted, it says pre-order starts October 12th. There will be two options for the statues, statues, and unsigned versions and signed versions with Andre 3000 and Big Boy's autographs. See statues live at New York Comic Con. I don't think I expected that. What do you think about the OutKast Concrete Jungle being more of a statue and or action figure, whatever it is?
I mean, what do I think about it in relationship to what not getting any music and getting the action figure instead?
Yes, yes. How about that? Yeah, that's a better question.
Um. Well, quite frankly, to be expected, Mike. You know what I'm
I
saying? I
think
mean,
it's wild that we don't
they're in.
expect music from
No,
this
they're.
act.
I mean, they haven't actually sincerely made an album together since Stankonia, Mike. That was like my freshman year at UNCG. That's like 99, 2000. It's 2023. They
Yeah,
in G.I. Joe Transformers as territory, quite frankly. They haven't really done anything together.
23 years since the last effort. Actually, actually no, this month because it's October. This month, Stankonia will be celebrating its 23rd anniversary.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't care what anybody says. Like the Speaker Box and The Love Below are two solo albums recorded essentially separately,
Yeah.
packaged as an OutKast album. That's not an OutKast album.
No, it's not. We haven't gotten the OutKast. In my personal opinion, we haven't gotten the OutKast album since 1998.
No, I still think Stankonia is an OutKast album because I
It
mean,
feels
Spaghetti.
very separate still to me. I could be wrong, but Humble Mumble sounds like two different sessions, right? To me, Snapping and Trapping, obviously, Dre's not on there, and that's not unusual. That happened a lot in the OutKast pairing. Same thing with Love These Hoes, but So Fresh, So Clean sounds like two different sessions to me. Um, you know what I mean? Like the only song that really sounds together on Stankonia is honestly Spaghetti Junction. Um, Maybe Slum Beautiful, but I don't know, man. It's just the whole vibe of Stankonia, and I even felt like this when it came out. So I'm not just saying this because we know what the history is. I wasn't a huge fan of Stankonia when I first bought the disc because of the lack of cohesion and cohesiveness.
What Stankonia is really a victim of, and I've realized this in hindsight. Well, Big Boy had finally spread his wings. Because here's the reality of the matter, Mike. Like, ATLians, I think, got recorded separately, too. Because they were kind of like on two different paths at the time. And I think Big Boy laid the groundwork for a lot of those tracks, and Dre came and tidied up in later sessions
Right.
from hearing it. But I also think in 1996, Big Boy's focus was more team and goal oriented to the sense that he set frameworks for records, I feel like, that he knew Dre could riff on.
Right.
I feel like on Stankonia, it's kind of like the Beatles' White Album in the sense it's like, no, there are Andre records that Big Boy jumped on,
Mm-hmm.
Big Boy records that Andre jumped on. And I think that was the case with ATLians. but the chemistry was totally different.
And you know
And so
what?
was
And it's
the
funny you mention that because I think a lot of people feel like that. When it comes down to it, and I'm just trying to be objective here, right? I love Cass, and I don't want this to come across as bashing or anything, but when you talk about the greatest hip hop groups of all time and then being number one on that list, operating from almost a soloist type of mentality, how can you even say that this group is one of the best groups when it seems that the chemistry worked to us as listeners, but obviously the chemistry's not there. That's why they haven't recorded anything together in 23 years.
No, the chemistry's there. They
Is it?
sound great together. They didn't sound great long enough together is really the problem. I mean, how about this?
They grew apart though. Is that, I mean, musically, is that fair to say?
See, musically, I don't know how together they ever were, Mike.
I think that's fair. I think
Because
AT Aliens might be the moment they were the most together.
I think because they're being A&R'd on Southern Playalistic and
Clearly.
A&R'd wonderfully, I might add.
Exactly.
AT Aliens is probably, and I think this is why people love AT Aliens so much. That's probably the closest thing that they have to an actual group album,
Right.
in my. And then stylistically, you can see that Dre is somewhere else by Aquemini, but Big Boy lyrically has stepped up somewhere too. And then by the Stankonia, they were just creatively in separate spaces. So I don't know how together it ever really, really was.
I think, to your point about Southern Playalistic being heavily A&R'd, I think Akumina actually was too. I think AT Aliens is the album where they kind of they took the reins as a group and, like you said, had that level of chemistry. And I do believe that Akumina came around, the people who are in their corner, the wonderful, artists, musicians, A&Rs that they've had in their corner their whole career, they probably stepped in and said, you know what, we need to come in here and do something. And they did it. And they made probably the best album, one of the best albums hip hop's ever seen. Definitely the best album, in my opinion, the South's ever seen. Hold on, let me get to some of these super chats real quick. 007 with the $20 super chat showing love. He says, Coop, remember our conversation when you came to NYC? How much longer y'all gonna let him get away with this? He's not this generation's best MC. He's dropping trash albums. He's been dropping trash albums for years. Drake ain't that guy. Y'all believe he was. I'm sorry. Hashtag King Cole. We're gonna get into that. You want ready to get into that now, Coop?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Mad Max to the super chat says, "All right, 007. Cole's my guy. 3 favorite rappers after Pac and Nas. Drake is the king of the era. Let's not do that mid-album aside. Put them in a verses." Well, we don't want to do that. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, "I can't stand Drake, but I honestly didn't mind this project." I'm kind of where 36 Chambers is. I mean, not that I can't stand Drake, but I'm not seeing what people are saying about this album. I don't have a problem with it. It's crazy takes here. Most of his catalog is mid, so what do people expect? That said, this is better than the last 2 albums to me. A lot of people are saying this is his best album in a good number of years. Okay, so Friday, let's get into it. Friday, Drake dropped For All My Dogs. For All the Dogs. Sorry, I always want to say my dogs because that sounds better to me. For All the Dogs. What was your thoughts, or what were your thoughts on this album? Because a lot of people are saying a lot of different things across the spectrum.
It is. I find it surprising. First of all, if you're a fan of Drake, this is the best material he's actually done in some time. That's why I find some of it to be surprising. But listen to what I'm about to say. Because of who he is and how he's peaked in this game, his drop-off prior to this album, Mike, was a little bit more sincere and succinct than we really had accounted for. Like, the quality, like it really, really dipped lower than we were really acknowledging, outside of some flashes here and there for some time, if you really want to know the truth. Because this is the best material that he's actually done in a while. But there's a few problems with it. And I've said this, he's arguably hip-hop's best hook writer. up there with 50 and meth. You know what I'm saying? Like, just that high level hook writing ability, but also charismatic, infectious, sing along, ready, of course. And that's always been his super power, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And the reality of the matter is that the music hasn't been as good because he doesn't have that superpower anymore. And he actually now, at this stage in his career, is a much better rapper than he is a singer and hook writer. And there's not enough rapping on the damn album, and that's actually the problem with the album. The problem isn't the rapping moments, Mike. That's why for the hip-hop people that are criticizing it, it's like, well, if you want to critique it from the perspective of it's like, oh no, he officially is singing too much because he's officially a better rapper than singer and hook writer. And so you focus where your strengths are. Because the strength of this album, quite frankly, is 8 a.m. in Charlotte. Shout out to the Queen City. Because he went off on there, Mike. And it's soulful, it's reflective, it's introspective, it's lyrical. Breath Control's amazing.
On it's Conductor on the beat, right?
It is Conductor. Mm-hmm. I was about to say, it sounds like some rap shit, Mike. You know what I'm saying? And it sounds like, listen to what I'm about to say, because this kind of goes, and I know we're probably going to talk about the whole Budden.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, a little light on light crime. It's like Shalimar and El DeBarge picking a fight.
Not light on light crime.
Fucking going fucking Howard Hewitt going at it about some bullshit.
But a part of me who used to be light skinned is offended by that.
Yeah, whatever. Take it to Cooley. Like, what are these light skinned ass niggas doing? I was like, 2020, got to get past this shit. They're not coming back. Anyway, but, when he's speaking about Drake not doing grown-ass music that reflects his age and status, well, he's talking about there not being enough records like 8 a.m. in Charlotte because, you know what? He sounds like, quite frankly, a rapper who's over 35, but a great rapper over 35. And as we're finding out from, his contemporary Wayne and from Nas and from a host of other guys as well, no, you can be great past 35. I mean, we really didn't even get hip to Griselda till all them dudes was over 35. We ain't even their buzz didn't start till they turned 35, 36. You know what I'm saying? And so he sounds properly placed on that record. But we got to talk about first person shooter.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that. I want to piggyback on some of the things that you said. 007 with the super chat says, on Friday, Drake dropped for all the poodles. Let's see. We got Mad Max with a super chat in here. He says, Drake shot he needs to come back after 3 years and the haters will love him again. Just go away for a bit and cut the cringe bars out. Okay. I think that I'm going to address some of that too because, again, there's a lot to unpack here. Okay. First things first, man. I agree with everything that you said as far as wanting to hear more of the rhyming because there's some really good bar work on here. I mean, I think some of his punchlines and some of his metaphors, he hit, nail on the head. Some of the entendres, all of those things that you look for in an MC. I think, so Drake's let's just say technically, right? Drake's 14 years in. And we haven't seen a lot of MCs or hip-hop artists be this big 14 years in. The first person that comes to mind, honestly, would be Jay-Z, right? And 14 years in, or let's just say 13 years in, he was at Blueprint 3 time. I think I've said this on the show before. I feel like Blueprint 3, Jay is trying to figure it out. Blueprint 3 was Jay's album where he was bringing in that new generation or the ones that were coming in the door at the time, i.e. Drake, i.e. J. Cole, Kid Cudi's on Blueprint 3. And I've said many a times on this show, I feel like Blueprint 3 stylistically, flow-wise, Jay is trying to adjust to the times. So there's really no blueprint, if you will, for lack of a better term, for somebody 14 years in that's at this part of their career in hip-hop. So I think that that's where the singing comes in, right? Drake has a responsibility and his position in the game is to sell records. He's kind of like that. He's kind of like that player that's at the point of his career where it's championships or nothing else. He's not here to outbar you or make a full rap album. He has a responsibility in his position in the industry to sell records. And I think that there's a dichotomy and dynamic here where people want quality material per se from somebody who's supposed to give everybody material. You know what I'm saying? He can't put out if you're reading this, it's too late and do the numbers that he needs to do at this point in his career. You know what I mean?
Correct. Things have changed for him, but we're forgetting that there was something about him that was very, I don't want to say like different, but avant-garde. And he had found a niche, and a niche that worked really, really well. And it feels like that niche has turned into the pressure just to have these big hit moments. And it's quite frankly, that pressure has been applied. It really hasn't been as many hits like that. Like when I go through his greatest hits catalog, no, it's the stuff that I was listening to when my daughter was a kid. You know what I'm saying? I always relate shit back to like my raising of my daughter. And it's like, no, I was listening to those records when Saya was like 2.
Yeah, especially 3, on the solo tip, 4, right? He has 5, some features. 6. Yeah, he has some features that, hit the mark in that way. But you're right. Mostly the hits that he's known for are stuff that are from a previous era, from a solo level.
Like his records. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He got everybody's stuff everywhere. It's like you can do a Rick Ross, Lil Wayne, Nicki Minaj like album with Drake on it. You know what I'm saying? Like you can go through about 15, 20 records like that, and they'll all be bangers, Mike. But as far as like his shit, I mean, Mike, and this is what I mean. You have to accept this. Like, Take Care, and if you're reading this, already it's too late. Like, it's clearly his best work.
Andrew Williams. Andrew Williams with the super chat says, he says, Drake's lame for dissing Rihanna like that. Shaking my head. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, diss me so long ago, we make your memories. Fly conspiracy theories start floating. Round like Kennedy guy. I'll probably hold a grudge against you guys till I'm 75. 8 a.m. in Charlotte. Got bars on there, man.
8 a.m. in Charlotte is crazy. 8 a.m. in Charlotte is actually one of his best mic performances, period, Mike.
I think his mic performances are there on the album, to me. I mean, 36, and y'all know I'm not a huge Drake fan like that. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, JFK assassination record was originally sealed for 75 years. That bar work from Drake on a level that we want from our artists. Yeah. That's bar work from Drake on the level that we want from our artists. Yeah, and I think that he gets graded on the curb because, and again, we're going to get to the Joe Budden thing, and I can't wait to get to that part of it. But I think he does get graded on a curb where if somebody else said these same things, people would think it's ill. And with that being said, you want to talk about this J. Cole record because we can break it down.
Not quite just yet. Nothing was the same. I saw somebody put in the chat that nothing was the same. It's like, yeah, but we also need to understand this. This is only album number 8. Drake hasn't done for as long as he's been around, Mike. That's what I mean is like the features and all the hooks and all the classic stuff on other people's stuff is kind of, I think, inflated in people's mind what Drake's actual albums sound like. Stop thinking about the records and start thinking about his albums. Well, he's only made a few good albums, Mike.
Well, I've said many times on this show, we're in a singles era and not an album era, and Drake might be a big reason for that. I think he gets judged on his singles. I think his dominance when it comes to sales, streams, or however you want to put it, comes from actual singles and hits as opposed to what his albums do.
Now, here's what I was hoping for that I didn't get, especially when I saw the album start off with, what is it? Hold on, what's it called? Virginia Beach. I was like, oh, he's being petty to start off.
I thought so, too. Yeah.
Like, awesome. And then he wasn't. And then he was petty with Joe Budden. It's like, to be honest with I told you, like, Mike, he connected with me. Like, he connected with the rap purist in me that it's like, oh, he's petty. Most of my favorite rappers are petty because most rappers are emotional and petty, Mike, especially the great ones. So it's like when I heard him start like talking petty about the stuff that people were saying about him, I was like, you want to know what? I was like, I can get down with this guy. And this album is missing some of that edge and some of that petty.
It is missing that edge. But you know why? You know why? I believe
the button he should have gave to the album.
I understand what you're saying, and I agree with that. I think that his responsibility to sell records gets in the way of him being able to do that hip hop stuff like a takeover on an album like this. You know what I mean? Like you said, that same Joe Budden energy should have been on this album. But for him to have that level of mass appeal, no pun intended, he can't do some of those things. You know what I mean? On albums. That's why he'll do like a Duppy freestyle on the side. He'll do a back-to-back on the side.
Well, you see, that's cool, but that's what I mean. That's the beautiful thing about rap, Mike. There's always space to be petty. You can always find room to be petty in rap.
No, that's real. That's why I would just...
And he's not petty at all on here.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to go to the Super Chats real quick. Esquire says, I am a Drake fan, but this fan can't cry that he won't do numbers if he takes more rap-oriented approach, but complain when he gets left off the top 10 list. I think that's fair. If you're rapping halftime, can't really get mad when people who rap full-time get put on the list over you. I can agree with that. 007 with the $20 Super Chat, showing love. He says, y'all not playing this album again like that. Greats make the times adjust to them. Wasn't enough rap hunger. Most notable moment is J. Cole coming through and people keep making excuses with that selling records rhetoric.
No, here's what I will tell you. This album is too damn long, for one. This is ridiculous. When I pulled it up and it said an hour, 25 minutes, I said that's very problematic. But I'm going to tell you why. And it's the one petty thing that he hit. I told you a while ago, Mike, he's trying to break every record that Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers set, stream-wise, tour-wise. He's literally on a personal petty mission about that shit. And this album is long about him being petty towards Kendrick and taking all these numbers away. And you can't tell me no different because the quality of material is just not there. And I got proof of the petty, and that's where we need to go to the J. Cole.
Well, I was gonna say that. It's funny what J. Cole said on the record and what Drake didn't say on the record.
Correct. Petty. So this wrong because he's doing one petty thing. He's like, that Mr. Morale shit. He's like, I'm not about to let that stand. You're not about to rank this man number 2. Give him all these numbers. No, he's not having it. That is the one petty part about this.
Before we go to that,
though,
I do want to respond to something 007 said as far as what he say. The greats make the times adjust to them. Not 14 years in, though. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're 14 years in, the game's not adjusting to you anymore. You're kind of adjusting to the game. Similar to what I said with Jay on the Blueprint 3. That was 13 years into his career. He was adjusting to the game on the Blueprint 3. I think everybody can agree with that. Let me get to the rest of the Super Chats, and then we'll go ahead and talk about this record. Jermaine Johnson with the Super Chat says, maybe people are spoiled with his consistency of output. Just take a 5-year break. Make him miss you. Gritty with the Super Chat says, the bar is set so low for bars. He said now it's crazy. Let's see, I think we got another one. 007, the Super Chat says, take the break when people have something to miss. Man, 007's going hard on Drake. Pause. Don with the Super Chat says, not a fan, but it seems like Drake gets a lot of hate. Everybody isn't Nas and Jay. Jay Short with the Super Chat. Shout out to Jay Short in the building. He says, I don't like Drake, but I have no respect for Joe Budden. Don't be passive-aggressive and be scared to call him a culture vulture. I prefer the Ice Cube true to the game approach. Mad Max with the Super Chat says, greats make the times adjust to them early in their career. After 5 years, they adjust to the times. Like 007, you my mans. Stop it. I agree with Mad Max on that one. Esquire with the super chat says, I don't buy the mass appeal argument. Drake's name alone holds currency. If he had made an album polarizing bars over hits, it's still gonna go number one. I just don't think they could take that chance, Esquire. I agree with you, but what hit makers do and people like that do is they go for the sure shot. They're not gonna go out there and take chances. Michael Jackson couldn't take the chances that Prince could take. You know what I mean? He just couldn't. He had to go for certain sure shots. It is what it is. Black Wealth and Power with the super chat says, how much of the Drake hate today is just light skin hate? People are so much harsher with him, are comfortable ridiculing him for things that most rappers do. I think that's fair. Okay.
I told you there was some light on light crime going on, Mike.
There's some light on light crime going on. All right, go ahead.
You're having a hard enough time as it is. Matt, first of all, Mike, you can never in public spaces co-sign Matt.
Now, I agree with what Mad Max said. You don't name somebody. You went out for a second, Coop. Name somebody who made the game adjust to them 10 plus years in.
No. Actually, that is almost a valid assertion by Mad Max. It's few and far in between for him. But you know who I thought about? I was like, well, LL is really even the blueprint about how to adjust.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So having to adjust to the game about 5-6 years in, yeah, that's about right. Because it's like, I mean, I don't know about you, Mike, the LL Cool J on Mr. Smith, that's not LL Cool J from Radio and I'm Bad.
I'm seeing somebody in the chat say that Michael Jackson took chances on Bad. Did he? I feel like Bad was made for the stage, and I think Bad was an album where he got away from, let's just keep it real, the soulfulness. He understood how big he was getting, and I feel like if you want to say him taking on more of a global sound or a rock sound was a chance, I guess, but it sounds like you're just adjusting to your new next level popularity.
I'm about to say, Mike, Dirty Diana's not a chance. Smooth Criminal's not a chance.
It's not. Yeah.
Those aren't chance records. What the hell are people smoking?
Yeah. I mean, like I said.
The Way You Make Me Feel is not a chance record.
Right. He couldn't take the chances that Prince could take.
These are bona fide bangers. Like, yeah, this isn't like Prince doing like Never Take the Place of Your Man or If I Was Your Girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that. That's absurd.
Yeah, If I Was Your Girlfriend is taking a chance. Yes.
That's a chance turning into a classic.
Exactly. And to be perfectly honest, it wasn't even a hit like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just a great record.
I mean, to be honest with you, Mike, the Sign of the Times is so great. It's probably not even a top 5 song on the album, but the perspective of the songwriting is so supreme.
And yes, Dirty Diana was fire. The video was crazy. I think it's a top 3. I think it's a top 3 Michael Jackson video, in my opinion.
The first groupie love song. Michael Jackson's talking about a groupie. It's like, how much, what more do you want?
36 Chambers with the super chat says, Michael Jackson is the greatest performer of all time, but to say any of his albums were risk is crazy. He made the safest, most popular music of the time, which is why he's a global, he had that global reach. Stop it. As a Michael Jackson fan, I agree wholeheartedly. And I think that when we have this whole Michael and Prince debate, the areas that Prince wins outside of the songwriting and musicianship, as far as the relatability of the music and the depth nature of the music, is because Michael had to be so massively appealing. And I think Drake gets some of that, you know?
This light on light crime has got to stop.
Banger Jones in the super chat says,
going on.
Banger Jones in the super chat says, people talking about Drake hate, Nas gets the most. We're going to get to Nas in a minute. He does get the most. I think we've covered that on this show a few times.
I believe the comeuppance of this show has something to do with us exposing that. But thanks for, the reminder. It's totally awesome.
4-5 The Hero says, Mike didn't take chances like Prince. Sign of the Times and Love Sexy. Yeah, it's true. And I love Mike. He took some chances, but...
Love the whole risk, like every song on the album.
Jay Short with the super chat says, Black Wealth and Power is incorrect. MC Hammer and Will Smith's careers were basically ended because fans said that they weren't hip-hop enough. Drake, for some reason, gets a pass to cosplay as a rapper. Man, Jay Shore ain't feeling any of his bars. Matt Max with the super chat says, also, Joe, you dated 25-year-olds when you was Drake's age. Your music was the same as Drake's up until 2013. All you used to do that dealt with young chicks to feel younger. Cougars deal with YBS to feel youthful. Young boys to feel youthful. Okay, let's talk about this Drake and J. Cole, right? Because we're going to get into the whole, Joe Budden thing, which is a whole discussion in itself. Did you like the J. Cole appearance?
It's the verse of the year.
It's the verse of the year. Huh. Didn't expect that. Okay. We got a thumbs down in the chat for that. Thumbs up in the chat, guys, so we can get some more people in here.
Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, no. Drake has always been able to rap at a high level. He's on this record rapping at a high level.
Yeah.
Separated himself from his contemporaries officially, Mike. He is the best MC of the three of them. He is. He just needs the album to prove it. Because he's he's just clearly better than everybody not named Nas or Black Thought at this point.
I think this is the thing that I observed from that pairing, and I'm glad that
bar to bar, he's stellar, Mike. And it's really, his flow has gotten sicker, Mike. His delivery is crazy. His flow switch speed game is Biggie Smalls-ish right now, Mike. The way he's like stopping and going and pivoting, it's like watching Akeem work in the post. The way he's like riding on the beat. It's like, no, like it is the verse of the year. Name a better verse.
This is what I got from this, right?
Because somebody gonna give me some ransom verse that ain't it, and people be forgetting.
Don't do that.
The truth. I don't even mean that. I fuck with Ransom. I know he follows this show. I don't mean it like that. But what I'm saying is that people keep forgetting that memorable verses come in usually memorable moments, Mike.
It's a big moment.
Yeah.
And I got to give Drake props for welcoming this moment. And he actually geared people up for this moment when he came out on his tour set. He said, let's do a record together.
Got that Yoga Fire Flame, though. You got flamed up. Mike, that record ends when J. Cole finishes his verse. Drake was like, no, we're going to have to switch the beat up. I'm going to have to come back and do something. Don't tell me that was originally part of the record. Like, I really feel like that verse is like that to the point that it's like he made Drake go back and do something else. And Drake was rapping his ass off on that second part, and it's still not that verse. It's the verse of the year.
But you know what? I think that Drake's even comfortable with that. I think Drake is comfortable with that, and he wants to see J. Cole get off in that way. I think he also wants to champion J. Cole as the lyricist of their era so that people can stop talking about Kendrick in that light. I get that Drake's the song maker, J. Cole's the bars guy, and Kendrick's the album maker. I think that's where we're at right now, clear cut. Depending on what you hold the highest is who you're going to hold the highest. You know what I mean? Esquire with the super chat says, what risk? When was Drake's last commercial flop? It hasn't happened. If he wants critical acclaim from the purist crowd, the music should reflect it. I don't think he cares about that part of it.
Like him singing as much as he used to on rap records used to be the risk, Mike. That's what I'm saying. That used to be the risk. Him doing what he normally naturally did used to be the risk. It's like that move has become part of the game and even changed the game, but it's also changed the trajectory of his career and his album making and song making ability. And I'm just telling you, he just needs to rap more. Problem with this album, there's too many damn songs because he's being petty with Kendrick about the streams, and he needs to rap more. So it's like, if you're telling me you're not feeling these records, it's like, no, I understand you. Do you understand when he's rapping, he sounds great?
Man, this is a super chat.
I talk about all these singing ass records like that anyway, because that's essentially what most of the album is. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Mad Max in the super chat, it says, King David, when he got older, he dealt with younger women to feel more youthful. So Joe point is flawed. This is what you do when you're older. Young Mad Max using history to make his point. We got a couple of more super chats. Dot with the super chat says, Big Sean Palisade Casa verse was better. Mad Max with the super chat.
Contender, but
Okay.
no, because J. Cole's flow is so much better. You get what I'm saying?
Mad Max with the super chat says Cole needs to call Riri and get ASAP Rocky to pick his beats. Cole needs My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy type of album. The industry needs to make sure his album is the one. Mad Max also says with the super chat says we need Drake and Cole a collabo album. I could see that. I think that
Mike,
they both excel in different arenas, and I think that would be a dope collaborative album.
me too.
4-5
Like,
that hero, the hero with the super chat says J. Cole with Hit Boy or Alchemist would be crazy, and someone else on the hooks. And got
well,
some
Mike,
more super chats. Go ahead.
since some of y'all still out here, I mean, mostly you, caping for Kanye ass, why don't Kanye do J. Cole's project since y'all think he still got it?
That's a good point. I'm with it. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
CJ Kid with the super
Slavery.
chat says, "Is a Battlefield Music Group still a thing, Coop? And was Souls of a Black Man that other album you were talking about?"
My cousin, M6, still owns Battlefield Music Group. You know, we still exist. Yes, the album I was talking about I didn't release is The Souls of Black Folks. You must have had to do some digging to find those records. I was getting some, yeah, and CJ Kid did some digging on me apparently. I was getting some legitimate buzz off the Souls of Black Folks record. We put out an album on iTunes called American Beauty. But I mean, Battlefield Music Group is kind of like a legacy thing. My cousin Mario and I started, like, because it got us off West Boulevard. You know what I'm saying? It was always about, like, legacy. So, like, it still exists. We just haven't been active because, well, I don't rap anymore. I do this. And he doesn't produce anymore. He's married and, like, you know, buying fucking fancy-ass BMWs that do, like, 100 miles per hour in 6 seconds. That's why we call them Six.
Shout out to CJ Kid with the dig. Thumbs up in the chat, everybody. Hit that like and subscribe. Marquez Davis with the super chat says, "Been saying this for years. Drake has the hits. Kendrick has the albums. Cole has the lyrics. Cole and Kendrick have a song with Jeezy, and Kendrick did not rap. I'm never going to let him forget that either. He was like, nope, not after that." That's what it seemed like. Let's see. Leroy Green has entered the chat. Shout out to Leroy Green. He said, "What up, fellas? But Drake album is just not good, and it's ridiculous because he's a better MC than what he drops. He don't have to adjust. He's Drake. Obviously, he feels like he does have to adjust." Dot with the super chat says, "Nah, Coop. Sean's verse and flow is better. Gotta go listen to it again."
No. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's a verse of the year contender. It's not better.
You're not a big Sean fan like that, though.
And neither is the moment. This is what I'm saying about, like, a verse of the year. Like, this is the difference between a contender and, like, something that legitimately needs to be considered. It's like when you hear it and you're just like, oh shit.
Right.
Like Lauryn Hill on Nobody, where it's like, oh no. It's like that.
The moments matter.
The moments matter. Like, what was it? What's that Boldy record that Gibbs was on that he just went like haywire on? You know what I'm talking about, because you thought it might be better than the Lauren verse with because Rock Marciano's on the record too.
I know what you're talking about. It'll come to me in a second. People in the chat help us out.
Like that's what I was trying to tell you. It's like, oh no, that Gibbs verse is fire. I was like, ain't nobody about to remember that the way we about to remember the Nobody verse from Lauryn Hill. And look, Mike, we're having trouble coming up with the song right now live. So that stuff matters.
It does.
It matters. Yeah.
Jay Short with the super chat, $20 super chat, showing love over here. He says, "Cole is the Aaron Rodgers of rap. Since he doesn't have his own great moments, we overrate and create moments and records for him. This if Cole had this producer sound like if Aaron Rodgers had Belichick talk. He ain't that guy. Period." Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, "Cole will never take the top spot without the album. We have to hold him to the same standard as we do Hove and 3 Stacks. Verses are not enough." Man, y'all was listening to the last episode, huh? I mean, verses are enough to get verse of the year, but I agree. I mean, if we're saying this, Coop, if we're saying Drake is the one with the songs, Kendrick is the one with the albums, and Cole's the one with the verses, how do we rank those three?
I just sat down last week and told you this is the craft of MCing. All the writing crafts is the toughest writing craft in music because of how many words we put into syncopization to fit into one bar,
Right.
and then extend and make a song. And then actually, if you're actually like that talented to write a hook. And once upon a time, like when we were talking to Dino Marto, motherfuckers used to do something called a bridge too.
Yeah.
Edge to the writer. Because the craft of MCing is a writer's craft.
So you think making the song is the most difficult?
Correct.
Okay.
I told you, writing a full-fledged rap song by yourself is the toughest thing to do in music. Like, that doesn't involve playing an instrument. As far as like your vocal performance and your writing skill, yes, it is the toughest thing to do in music.
So Drake is that number one person between the three.
See, that's what I keep on trying to express to people. No, because how many of those songs has he made by himself?
I mean, look, this is why you went out for a second, Coop. You there? Oh, there we go. This is why, to me, versus when it happened, I think it was such a great idea. Because when you can sit there and say, let me pull out 20 of my records versus 20 of your records, it's tough to say that somebody is better than another person when you can't compete with their 20, because 20 is a lot, you know what I'm saying? Like, their 20 best or hit records or whatever. And to be perfectly honest, features aside, if we're just going on straight up solo records, none of those guys are going to beat Drake in a versus.
I was about to say, Mike, that can be the. You know what I just thought about? Like Rick Ross would beat Ghost in a versus. Nobody thinks Rick Ross is a better rapper than Ghost, Mike.
I agree.
Body.
I agree with that.
You feel me?
I think Rick Ross is a very special case.
Nah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like, how about this? Like, I mean, Mike, you've said like somebody like 50 could give Nas some run on a versus because.
Think so?
Yes, Mike. Oh my God, because he just needs 11, and he's definitely got 11. Because he just need 11, and he definitely got 11. And now listen to them on Office Hours together. Whoever thought 50 was a better MC than Nas?
I agree with that. Can he beat him in
verses? It's possible.
But you know what this comes back to? You know what this comes back to? This comes back to the LL Cool J argument.
Like, got like 5 hate me nows.
This comes back to the LL Cool J argument. There's a lot of people, bar for bar. I mean, nobody's going to sit here and tell you that LL Cool J can out-rap Black Thought. But is Black Thought all-time over LL? Why?
In a lot of people's minds, yes. In a lot of people's minds, yes.
I would have to disagree with them. Excuse me. Mad Max with the super chat says, Cole don't have a great moment, but he's got a diamond plaque. You make stuff up. CJ Kid with the super chat says, I stumbled on the stuff randomly, Coop. Also, I thought it was funny in a cool way that you guys prefer Akumina, but rapped over ATLian beats. ATLian beats are better to rap over than Akumina. Akumina is just a musical journey.
2 dope boys, elevated.
But if you want beats to rhyme on, yeah, I would say ATLians might be your pick.
I played Over the Woods the other day. I was just like, man.
Yeah, Over the Woods is crazy. 4-5 the Hero with the super chat says, rap sales are down according to Juicy J. We still may have ASAP, Schoolboy, West Side Gun, and Cole album potentially coming. And yeah, and that's the thing too. With rap sales down and just music sales down, period, you don't think the number one, or I guess the top 3 selling artists in all genres doesn't have the pressures to come through in a year like this with some hit records? I mean, that's part of who he is as an artist. Okay.
The sequencing on the album is not good. That is one of the bigger problems. But that's one of the things when you make an album this damn long.
Exactly.
Sequencing becomes like the song with Bad Bunny and the song with Sexy Red are right next to each other. They'll sound like two totally different albums.
Exactly. But again, I would expect that from
But
this artist.
They're both about to stream like a motherfucker.
Exactly. Coop, this is my thing. And
which is about Kendrick and being petty.
Well, I think it's about everything. But yeah, it's about Drake showing that, you know what, I'm the guy and nobody's going to be able to catch me numerically. I feel like that's one of the reasons why Scorpion was a double disc. Because all of that was going on at the time and he had to make sure that the numbers were there. Same thing Jay did with the Blueprint 2, right? After Ether went down, he had to make sure the numbers were there. So we're going to do a double disc. And regardless, these numbers are going to be doubled. You know what I'm saying? That's not a mistake. The people who are that, I guess, their sales are successful in that way that they go out there and put out double disc when they're under attack, if you will, for lack of a better term. Okay, this record with J. Cole. Back to that. I think Drake made it a clear point to let everyone know that he doesn't even consider Kendrick in this debate. This Biggie, Jay-Z, and Nas, this Cole, Kendrick, and Drake debate. He doesn't even consider Kendrick. This was the moment to give Kendrick those flowers and say that, you know what? I know everybody debates the three of us. He's like, no, don't consider him.
What did he say? Me, Aubrey, K. Dot, and me, the big three, like we started the league. That's what Cole said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Aubrey's just like, you the GOAT. You the GOAT.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie.
Yeah. I would like to see them do a project together. But see, this is the thing. With all of the talk that we're about to get to with the Joe Budden thing, and this is what I'm talking about, you have an artist with mass appeal that has to reach all these audiences. He gave the people what they wanted in a record with J. Cole. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what the people wanted, right? The people who wanted the bars and wanted to have these debates about, Cole, Kendrick, and Drake of this era or the previous era, because I don't even think this is their era anymore per se. He gave them that Cole feature. Why aren't people highlighting that more than what they don't like?
Mike, because there's light on light crime going on out here that needs to stop on Drake. I keep trying to tell you, Mike, he does rapper shit. Like, it's literally like, no, I'm going to be petty because I don't want him to have that spot. That's rapper shit. He throws his biggest competition on a record and spars with him when this guy is peaking in a manner that he's never peaked before on the mic. That's rapper shit, Mike.
It is. Yeah.
That's rapper shit. That's
and we got to welcome that.
When he does rapper shit, Mike.
He does.
Oh, he's top tier. He's top tier when he does rapper shit.
I agree.
The singing is officially getting in the way. I don't think people are listening to the words. They're coming out of my mouth. When he's singing, it's becoming a problem. This is not, we don't need him singing on Aston Martin music anymore. We already have 50 records like that.
Facts. Jay Short with the Super Chat says, if we're going to do a top 50 hip-hop songs of the last 10 years, how many J. Cole songs would be on that list? But you're the best rapper of the generation. I think that is a very fair assessment. I think that's a very fair assessment. Not going to lie. Mad Max of the Super Chat says, Drake don't consider Dot because he made Dot. He put Dot on Take Care and then gave him Poetic Justice. And then asked Dot to be on Effing Problem. Drake made Dot. You know what? Listen, Mad Max, I'm not mad at that assessment. I mean, I think you gave us some evidence there, too. Mr. J. Davis with the Super Chat says, first-person shooter can hit #1. It feels like Cole made this possible more than Drake. I don't know if I could say that. Cole did his job, though. Cole could have more of these moments if he had Drake's fan base. I barely hear people talk about Drake's verse. Well, why doesn't Cole have Drake's fan base? We got to ask that question, too. Are you ready to get on the light on light crime?
Because he hasn't been singing for everybody for the last 15 damn years. That's why.
Are
Like
we?
people,
I think it's more than just the singing. I agree with you. Obviously,
no, it's
singing
not.
is going to expand your fan base. I've always, well, Andre 3000 said this. The
Got
guys
girls, Mike.
like, Andre said the guys like bars and beats, and women like the melodies. And that's
And,
fair.
and there are women who aren't fans of hip hop that are fans of Drake.
No.
Cole doesn't have that.
Yeah, because Cole's a rapper. He's a rapper's rapper.
That's about the singing and shit then. So when you're like, it's not deeper than the singing, it's like, nah, that's about it.
Well, to Jay Short's point, does J. Cole have the rap hit records too? Is J. Cole more of a overachiever in a sense where he's kind of like a boom bap guy who has mainstream success?
Like Nas?
I think Nas has done more commercial stuff than Cole has. Cole doesn't have a If I Ruled the World or Hate Me Now to me. I mean,
but those records weren't required during his time. But he does have stuff like Crooked Smile, though.
He does, and I agree with that. I think
nobody with Missy Elliott, like, no, he has for his era what would quote unquote be playing the game.
I agree with that. And I do think that if Cole was in the 90s era, he would have adjusted and made more radio palatable records. Radio's just not as important as it was in that era, so he doesn't have to.
Oh. And here's what we need to realize about Cole and what's going on, too. While we're getting on him about the album making, let's not get it twisted. Right now, he's a better rapper than Drake and K-Dot, but his last offering is better than both of their offerings, too. The off-season is better than this Drake project, and it's damn sure better than Mr. Morale. So right now, even on the album-making front, he's the guy.
Okay.
So let's get all the way correct. Yeah.
Richard
the
Howard.
off-season is better than Drake and Kendrick have dropped, like, this decade and in the past 5, 6, 7 years. So he's better lyrically right now. He's a better album maker right now. He's the guy.
Thumbs up in the chat, everybody. We got some people up in here, man. And shout out to the people who went out there and got their A2HH Live shirts as well. You can go in the community section. The link is there. We get that out to you. Richard Howard with the super chat says, we're talking about being a complete MC for this era, guys. Seems like all of us in the chat would appreciate that. Look up Rambo Rich on anything. Humanitarians say I'm nice with it. Humanitarians say I'm nice with it. Mad Max with the super chat says, what did Dot do to show gratitude? Make a clout chasing verse, control that the industry hyped up, and Dot allowed it to use Drake haters to build a base. I've never heard it from that perspective, man. I ain't mad at that, Mad Max. Mad Max is putting the narratives out there. Esquire with the super chat says, it's not just the singing. It's the uninspired trendiness. It's not singing on the song with Yeet, but it sounds like a throwaway. Formulatic to a fault. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, J. Cole suffers from weaker production choices than Drake. Less cohesive albums than Dot, but is lyrically better than both. Cole is a 90s bar work rapper stuck in the wrong era. He's one classic away. Saying all that to say, he's one classic away.
That's what I've been saying this.
Yeah, I think we've all been saying this. The whole time we've been doing this show, we've been saying this.
Mike, he's literally one stellar album away. Like, he can vault over so many people with a masterpiece album. Do you understand that? It's like right now, all time, to me, he is like somewhere between like 20 to 35. It's like, no, you can be somewhere like 10 to 15 with a classic album. Mike, I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. I never, ever thought that there would be a chance that the best rapper walking around would be from fucking North Carolina. And he's doing it. And the only thing that needs to happen is the album. It's the only thing keeping me from saying, like, when I'm talking about how y'all gonna let this 50-year-old dude out rap y'all, he's the main person I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He's the number one person I'm talking about. I am not talking about Kendrick or Drake when I'm saying that. I'm talking about him specifically. It's like, oh, you're just going to let him make better albums than you this late in the game like that?
I mean, in your opinion, does Cole know how to make an album?
That's just rude. It's not like he hasn't made dope projects.
No, he
Like,
has. I'm talking about for his skill set level. Obviously, he's made dope projects, but there's a different gear to kick in, even for the greats, to make a great album that matches their skill set.
yeah, I want to hear something comparable to like Moment of Truth. It's Dark and Hell is Hot. Hell on Earth. Fucking ATLiens. Southern. Yeah, yeah.
We're not gonna get an album from him that's like, I mean, because there's two ways to make classics, in my personal opinion. You got the albums that are just straight up bangers, like the Get Rich or Die Trying, the Paid in Fulls, right? And then you got the albums that are just cohesively great. And I don't think we're gonna get one of those albums from him that's just gonna be straight bangers, right? Where everything is a hit, like on some Thriller shit. But I do think we can get a. I think we could get a Daytona from him.
This was I was about to tell you. What does he? Does he have anything better than B to you?
No, hell
B
no. But we can get a B from him.
If we get a B from him, he's ahead of Common than me. Common's like 14, 15, 16 on my list. You feel me?
Is he ahead of Common if you get a B from him?
Yes.
Wow, I gotta think about that.
Yeah.
I gotta think about that because they're very similar, to be honest. But Common has a better catalog, in my opinion, album for album.
Better catalog right now, because see, here's the thing: is like if he has something comparable to B, then he can compete with Common's catalog officially. Because it's like, well, no, he has Forest Hill, he has Sideline Story. Like Forest Hills is great. It may not be like Water for Chocolate to us, but for his era to people, it is.
I don't think J. Cole, in my opinion, could beat Common in the verses. In my opinion. Now he might be a better spitter than Common. That could go either way.
But I told you, man, the verses is deceptive. I'm talking about like being able to go album for album with Common, not bar for bar. I know he's going bar for bar with him.
DFW Herbie with the super chat says all Cole's albums are platinum, not the wrong era. I agree with that. I mean, they're successful. He got his fan base and he taps in and he doubles down on his fan base. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says singing hooks absolutely broadens your fan base. It's the reason why Meth is the most popular Wu member and CeeLo is the most popular Goody Mob member. Coop, are you there? I think Coop froze up for a second. I think Coop froze up for a second. We're going to get to that light on light crime when he gets back. But yes, I do definitely believe that. I mean, obviously, when you look at Lauren, you look at The Love Below. We just got through talking about The Love Below selling the records that it sold. And the reason why it did sell the records that it sold is because Dre was singing on The Love Below. Speakerboxxx Love Below success has a lot to do with singing. It does. You ready to get on this light on light crime, as you called it?
Terrible. It's terrible what they're doing.
It's funny, man, because Budden kind of said similar things to what I said about Certified Lover Boy. Remember when that came out? And I said that, I didn't... Huh?
Childish.
Yeah, I said, I didn't see the growth or whatever. And, I mean, I get it. I mean, I think that's an observation. I don't think that's hating per se. But this was Drake's response. Let me read that.
Hold on. Before we get to Drake's response, tonality is everything.
That's true.
I think Budden actually said some things that, quite frankly, we all think and feel. I think it was the tonality of it that really probably was more of a set-off. Because when he's saying it's like, oh, no, you're 36, almost 37. Why are you making records like this? No, we said the same thing about Certified Lover Boy last year, Mike.
We did.
But our tone wasn't that way about it. You know what I'm saying? And so some of this is tonality. And when you don't watch your tone, people tend to get petty with you. That's exactly what happened. But also, too, Mike, I've been guilty of the same thing. I've had issues with Lupe and with Talib, and I'm pretty certain it's because they didn't like the tonality in which
I think the Lupe thing definitely was the tone. I don't really know too much about the Talib, but yeah, I think the Lupe thing was definitely the tone.
I don't apologize. I still have deleted tweets from him because he got in his feelings, too. and then tried to delete the tweets and act like he wasn't in his feelings. But that's whatever.
Jay Short with the super
The tone
chat says,
matters.
"What's up?"
But the tone matters is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
tone
And I
does
think
matter.
that's from the play situation because he wasn't right about anything, but my tone was off.
Jay Short with the super chat says, Method Man, Jadakiss, Corrupt are also one album away. I'm not saying Cole is whack, but you cannot call him the best rapper of his generation without the Undisputed Classic album. I think that's a fair assessment too.
I think Forest Hills is that to people of their generation, though. That's what we don't understand. We think Forest Hills. Well, you know what we do? We get petty, and we be like, man, you know, Forest Hills one of the modern day classics. It ain't no classic.
I'm gonna go back and listen to Forest Hills, a really good album. There's also a thing there that we could be inflating a certain album because of who made it and when it came out, and then we're gonna sit here and say, okay, well maybe we're out of touch, so I'm gonna give it bonus points. I mean, I would like to hear from the era, but I do think that Forest Hill is his best project. But this was Drake's response to the tone that I guess Budden took in his review. So let's see. Joe Budden, you have failed at music. You left it behind to do what you're doing in this clip because this is what actually pays your bills. For an artist watching this, just remember that you're watching a failure give their opinion on his idea of a recipe for success. A quitter giving their opinion on how to achieve longevity. You switched careers because the things that pop into your brain had you broke, living check to check, and the raps you write had 450 men showing up to your shows in dusty Aniche jeans to screw up their faces to Mood Music 29 and pretend that you're the GOAT. Please to any artists that are doing what they feel is right, don't let these opinions affect your mindset after the fact. This guy is a poster child for frustration and surrendering. You retired, and we never hung up your jersey. We don't even remember your number. We know that we know you for doing this. You withdrew from rap, not because you accomplished all you needed. It's because it wasn't working for you. I never want anybody in this generation to think that the whole everybody is entitled to their own opinion is a real thing. This man is projecting his own self-hate and the fact that I did and continue to do everything that he wanted to do for himself. If you need to put it in simpler terms, I own 767. He owns a modest house in the 973 and flies first class on special occasions. And Joe Budden says, Drake, you'll grow up sooner or later. Father Time is undefeated. Who's right or wrong here?
First of all, where was this energy on your album? And I'm older than him. Where was this energy on your album, young man? Where was this energy on your album?
I think that was pretty great writing there too, you know.
Stellar writing. It's stellar petty. I was like, he should have just went ahead back and made a diss record about Joe,
And
threw
just
it on
put
the
it out on
album.
street.
I would have appreciated that more. This was the petty I was looking for on the album. I was expecting to hear some Kendrick petty, some Pusha T petty. I came for the petty because that's where me and Drake connect.
We need a deluxe. We need a deluxe with that record with that type of energy on it.
But you want to know what? And what Drake essentially did, he was like, well, since you want to talk shit about me musically, let's talk about life and play Let Big Bank Take Lil Bank. You feel me? That's essentially what he did on that. He big boyed him a little bit. Like, yeah, I got a 767. Like, I got my own personal jet. Like, I fly first class whenever I feel like it because the 767 is outside. This guy might fly first class if his bosses put him on the plane. You know what I mean? The whole Dusty NYC jeans. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
No, it's called NYC.
Was it? I thought he was talking about the Aniche jeans from back in the day.
That's why.
Okay.
We thought it was Aniche. It's called NYC. Look at it.
Oh.
NYC. That's
NYC.
what
we called it in the South, man.
That's what we called it in the South because we didn't know what correct.
All right. Well, I think they're both right, and it's not the entitled to their own opinion thing. Um, like I said before, I don't think that people's problem is Drake adjusting because I saw Ebro talk about again Jay-Z and the Blueprint 3 because again I think this is relevant. Blueprint 3 is 13 years into Jay's career. This album is 14 years into Drake's career. I don't think that people have as much of a problem with somebody working with relevant artists as they do with the pool of relevant artists that there are right now. You know what I mean? I don't think this is a knock at. I don't. Again, obviously, it's a knock at Drake. It's his album, but I think Joe Budden's problem is more so the quality of artists in today's pool. Does that make sense? Coop, you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Does that make sense though? I think that really we've always seen our veterans adapt to the people that are popping right now, as they should. But I think that when you see Sexy Red working with Drake, someone like a Joe Budden could say, well, what has she done to be able to work with somebody like a Drake from a quality standpoint? And I think that's an interesting assessment because, I mean, do you see, I mean, obviously, Sexy Red wasn't around for Blueprint 3, but let's just say a Sexy Red equivalent in 2009 working with Jay on the Blueprint 3.
This is what I mean. So Drake used to be the guy that would help jumpstart other people's records with a hit.
Right.
Now, because he's known as the hit maker, he sometimes does pairings that maybe organically don't work because it's going to garner the hit making attention that he's turned into.
Right.
And so it's not really about what Sexy Red has done. It's about what she offers Drake in terms of where he fits into our star stratosphere. And he's our biggest selling pop star, essentially, outside of Eminem. It's those two guys.
Right.
You know, that are going to do the most numbers.
And Eminem sells for different reasons. He doesn't have to make a record with, Sexy Red.
Correct. Well, Drake hits a little different, but he hits a pocket. He hits a popularity pocket that M doesn't necessarily hit because we do know where a lot of M's fans are coming from. Drake is kind of in a situation of being a guy in his late 30s playing a young man's game because he's still, in a lot of ways, and the numbers are about to reflect it because it looks like he's going to do damn near $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's still the go-to person. And so he's kind of being forced to play a game. So maybe it's like if the numbers still didn't reflect it, maybe we would get more 8 a.m. in Charlotte.
Right.
But until the numbers reflect it, like, I hate to say this, like in a King's Disease and Magic way, and I don't mean that shit in a kind way.
You're right.
We probably gonna get records with Bad Bunny that we don't want to hear and records with Sexy Red that we don't want to hear. And that's why I'm like, well, no, I'm going to take that J. Cole record. I'm going to take 8 a.m. in Charlotte because I understand how the game's being played too.
Right.
Most of the singing shit to get streams.
I think where Drake's coming from in his long tirade is the fact that he knows that Joe Budden knows this part of the game, but Joe Budden is trying to act like, I guess he's oblivious to that fact. You're right. Those pairings and these collabs are to make sure that this album is a success. Because if he went out there and went not to say he can make a magic, but let's just say if he went out here and did what the hardcore hip hop fans wanted him to do, the numbers would be lower than normal. And then that will give people the wide open lane to say, oh, Drake fell off. Oh, he's not selling no records. They did that last year when he did the Little Dance album, remember?
Right, but this is what I'm saying, though. It's like, you have to understand, these people are students of the game. It's like, Drake is looking at the numbers Nas and Hit just did not do. And he's like, that's what y'all want me to do to myself?
It's fair.
Like, that's fair for him to look at it through that perspective. It's like, okay, let me do it your way so you can go buy 65,000 copies of my album when I drop an album like that instead of the 450,000 I'm about to do.
That's
Mike,
fair.
that's like you walking in and you have 2 job interviews in one day. One job offers you $65,000 a year. The other job offers you $450,000 a year. Which job are you taking, Mike? Are we having
I really love the purpose of the $65,000 a year job. Yeah,
people? Right, but the purpose. Oh, that job is so fulfilling, Mike. We get to be in Decatur and get to be down in the city every day, helping rebuild our communities and revitalizing it. Or Mike, or we can go work about 20 minutes outside the city, make that 450, and bring the money back to the community and break bread.
Exactly.
What are we doing?
Fair. Dot with the super chat says,
name a nigga that's taking the 65.
Dot with the super chat says, Drake's album is rated the second lowest album of the decade by media critics. See, that seems like some hate's involved there. And again, I'm not caping for Drake in any way. I don't want people to feel like that, but that's a bit extreme. Andrew Williams with the super chat says, my thing is when Drake is making classic songs and everyone was going crazy for it, did he say people being entitled to their own opinions aren't real then? Yeah, I could see that. You know, artists always jump up when you criticize. And many people have highlighted the fact that Joe Budden has constantly praised, Drake on his show, And Drake jumps out the window when he finally says something critical. But again, Coop and I have experienced that here. Coop more so than myself. Artists will jump out at you when you finally say something negative, but all the positive stuff you said, it goes out the window.
Right.
Yeah.
All those verse of the year contenders, all those above 4 ratings, all those glowing things that you say about their storytelling and their diction and their poetry. Yeah, it goes out the window and you be like, man, that nigga sucked right there.
And you know what? And I ain't gonna say that to everybody, because shout out to Jay Skis, because he has given us props when we gave him props, and he didn't wait till we were critical of something to get mad. So I mean, it goes both ways. LP with the super chat.
We also haven't been critical of Skis yet, because him and Love have been consistently dropping fire shit.
Yeah. LP with the super chat says, by 36, Jay-Z had made The Blueprint. By 36, Nas had made I Can and everything in between. K-Dot made Mr. Morale at 35. Drake's subject matter hasn't evolved. He's chasing numbers only. I thought you were going to mention J. Cole here when you said those ages and what was made. Jay Short with the super chat says, as much as I dislike Drake and his music, anytime someone goes at one of these NY gatekeepers, I'm all here for it. That Source /Funk Flex 90s era where the media slandered non-NY music is over. Let's see. We got some more super chats, I believe. I think I'm missing one. Mad Max. Here we go. Mad Max with the super chat says, Jay Short, Napoleon Complex, kicking in Drake, just fed up with with the disrespect. The most hated rap artist ever. He been hated since he came out to now. I think it could. You know what? Can you say that Drake is possibly the most hated rapper ever? Because maybe I remember DMX going in on him. I remember Flex.
How about this? He's one of those guys by his contemporaries. How about this? How Nas gets treated by the media is how Drake gets treated by his contemporaries. So there's some truth there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pushback. There was a lot of pushback when Drake came in the door. I remember when he was reading off of the BlackBerry at Flex's show, people couldn't stop talking about it. Other artists read off of, devices. Nobody says anything. And for an individual who has to go through those things, that could be frustrating. The double standard that he has to constantly deal with. It is what it is. And people are going to fight back at some point, and that's what we're seeing here. And I think that with Joe Budden, it's kind of, for Drake, it's probably personal in the fact that Joe knows firsthand what Drake's gone through in his whole career. And he understands that look, Joe knows everything, man. Joe's very experienced in this game. He understands how everything works. He knows the responsibility that Drake has to connect with all generations. And instead of highlighting him working with Cole, he goes on a tirade talking about how he needs to basically grow up. What does that look like for Drake as an artist, though? If we're talking about putting together an album, what does that look like? Do people want Drake to make Mr. Morale?
No, that's what I mean. I think it looks like 8 a.m. in Charlotte. That's why that record is so important. That's what it looks like. We have some of what it's supposed to look like. Like, I think if the collaborations were more memorable and maybe less streams driven, people would like it. And if there was more 8 a.m. in Charlotte. So it's like, no, more Cole collabs and less Bad Bunny collabs. You know what I'm saying?
I think the part two is the fact that we hear that he can easily do this and he can do this successfully. That's what I hear on the album. Even though not all the songs are for me, I could hear that from his bar work, he could pull off more of these 8 a.m.s in Charlotte's.
When he raps at a very high level.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, here's how you need to look at it. Look at it in these terms. What do you think of AZ for all the times that he's rhymed next to Nas? Think highly of him, don't you?
Correct.
Now, most people from their generation, and even from ours, I would say, think highly of Wayne, right?
Mm-hmm.
Has he not rhymed next to Wayne for literally well over a decade? The same way AZ's rhymed next to Nas.
I mean, who has Drake not rhymed next to? I mean, even if you want to hold Kendrick super high, I mean, yeah.
I'm specifically referencing Wayne because there is a dearth, like there's a bulk of tracks,
right,
with Wayne. Like YOLO, Mike.
I mean, they did a whole tour together, and they did it like the whole Capcom thing. Yeah.
It's like, I think Wayne is the better MC than Drake, just like I think Nas is better than AZ. But you do understand that it's like, well, when you rap next to a guy that great that much, it's usually because you're great too. Not at the singing part, at the rapping part.
Well, if we want to hold people like Kendrick high, J. Cole as well. Drake has done his fair share of work with them also. And he never just backed out and, started singing when J. Cole came and rhymed. Like, he rhymed with him. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, Drake makes the music that he makes because he doesn't have the talent or artistic integrity to craft masterful material like his contemporaries. To Pimp a Butterfly, never from Drake. He handled Budden like a child.
Well, it's rap. It's like never.
Right.
Like, why do people think that rap is this like adult, like mature space? It's like, it's Neverland. Like, most of these niggas never grow up. Like, most of these dudes are more childish and immature for their age bracket than anybody you'll find outside of a famous athlete.
When have from a fan's perspective? Go ahead.
Not me, miss. We're not doing a video all in suits. Niggas around here be petty. It's
I
rap.
was just
Shut
about
up
to
with
say.
that. Like, that mature shit, like, that's not rap. Rap's a young man's game. It is a petty game.
The mentality is, I was just going to say this, though. Whenever our greats have done the mature albums, and it wasn't on some singing stuff, right? When have the masses gravitated to it? To show people that, you know what, we want more of this.
That's the point that I was about to make, too, Mike. For all these people that say they want this man to do all this rapping, Mike, very few rapping albums sell very, very well. You know that, right?
I mean, To Pimp a Butterfly is one of them, too. I love To Pimp a Butterfly. How well did that do, really?
I was thinking it was written.
Yeah, I mean, that, too. But it still had to have If I Ruled the World on it.
Oh, correct. It's not doing no 3 million records without If I Rule the World, Street Dreams, and the Street Dreams remix. It's not doing 3 mil.
I mean, listen, To Pimp a Butterfly, as incredible as I feel that album is, the weakest moments of that album is when they were trying to actually, sell some records. King Kunta's not a good song. It's not.
Same thing with It Was Written. I don't care what people say. It's like, no, Street Dreams and If I Rule the World, those are lower moments on that album.
Yeah. Mike H. with the super chat says, what do you feel Drake hopes to accomplish with this break besides making people miss him? I mean, he's probably just tired, man. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, like Jay said this after the Black album. He's like, man, I'm tired. Like, I just want to go on a vacation or something. He's earned that. But we sit here and praise people who don't give us anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, we sit here and praise people who have taken unofficial breaks, let's just say it like that, and who are never going to come back. But when somebody who's consistently been here says they're going to take a couple years off, it's like, well, what do you intend to accomplish? No, I'm chilling.
He's got 8 albums. He's got a whole project with Future. He's got a whole project with 21. He's got so much Young Money, Nicki, Lil Wayne stuff. Like,
did you count the mixtapes?
No, I'm not even touching that.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, I mean, not being funny, he too has outworked somebody, which is probably why he's feeling some type of way about that person getting all that attention, because he's like, I'm doing everything but not out-rapping him. How?
Leroy Green with the super chat says, Mike, Drake does not need to adjust. It's like his fans are going to disappear if he raps a lot. If it's about hits, he can still do that while rapping. Y'all say that, but let's look at his biggest songs. You know what I mean? Like, is the singing involved? And when you look at his tours, look at the people who are in his audience. You know what? Let's not play crazy here, guys. We act like those arenas that Drake is doing are full of niggas who want to hear some rap, man. Like, let's keep it real, guys. Like, he has a lot of women in his fan base, and he cannot not sing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's part of it.
Not to be funny, Mike. The gangsters ain't showing up for no Drake show unless their girl wants to go.
Exactly. Why are we playing crazy here?
And then it's like, what's going on? Oh, Drake in town. I got to take my girl to the Drake show. It's like, oh, damn, fam. I'm sorry to hear that.
Exactly. Why are we playing crazy? Like, he's not supposed to cater to who his audience is.
Right.
It's just like you and I when we do the show. We know who our audience want to hear about. Y'all want to see us do a show on Lil Yachty or something like that? Y'all ain't going to show up. Right?
It's funny because on some real shit, Mike, even when we did Future's album, I was looking at the numbers and I was like, these niggas don't got no love for Future.
Yeah.
I mean, our audience, not like niggas out here, but I was like, man, our audience don't got no love for Future. I'm like, this is wild.
You gotta assess what your audience wants.
Like, literally, outside of Drake, he's the biggest artist of this era, numbers-wise. It's like, and he's not resonating, like, with any of y'all. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I mean,
I guess talk about Future.
So I guess Drake is supposed to ignore who his audience is and appease the people who don't fuck with him for real.
Right. Like, every time we talk about Thug, Gunna, Lil Baby, it'd be like damn near cricket sometime in the chat. I'm like, okay. Okay.
Esquire with the super chat says, let's not move the goalposts. We were just wax poetic last week about Wayne's Achilles heel being the lack of focus, mature content, and Budden had a point. He does have a point. But
Wayne's like 6 years older than Drake too, because Wayne is like our age, Mike. That's what I'm saying. It is like, so yeah, we should be. He's older and been doing this longer, so it's like that's a little. I'm not saying what Budden's saying is wrong. I'm saying the tonality of it.
I think Budden has a right to feel that way, and I think that is a decent assessment. Like I said, I made that similar assessment with Certified Lover Boy, but at the same time, I understand why it's happening this way. And like you said, we've seen these rap albums not really bring in the numbers that they need to bring in based on the quality that they are. He basically went out there and got Conductor to do a record on here because he's paying attention. He knows what's going on with that movement over there, and those guys have been putting out bangers and got one plaque. And he can't afford to do that with who he is. It is what it is. Dot with the super chat says, nah, the excuses y'all giving Drake today is crazy. Are these excuses or are these reasons? What do y'all want us to say? Y'all want us to say that he need to step his bars up? I mean,
we're not saying anything that's factually incorrect. Y'all be out here capping and campaigning for motherfuckers to do some shit that, quite frankly, is gonna make them fail more than it's make them succeed. Y'all come off as no, seriously. Y'all come off as selfish and like act like you have no sort of like music business industry insight. Y'all just want to hear everybody like rap their ass off, which is like cool. Like, bring your ass down to Atlanta to Apache Cafe. We can all freestyle all night. It's called the music business. He is literally rap's biggest selling artist.
He has a responsibility.
Like, stop Because here's the reality of the matter. Like, no, when Ja Rule was making those records, we was cool with it because that was his lane. When Nelly was making those records, we was cool with it because that was his lane. Even when Jay was doing the shit that he was doing, we was cool with it because that was his lane.
We understood what he was doing.
But hold on. But light skin from Canada? Oh, not light skin from Canada.
It's like, listen, am I saying I'm a fan of it per se? No, but I understand. I get it. You know what I mean? It's not. And see, that's the problem when you have an artist who, does these kind of numbers and they have to do these kind of numbers. Artistically, they suffer. But what I don't understand here, and I love you guys, and I understand where you're coming from. Y'all aren't gonna let's keep it real, Coop. Y'all aren't gonna like anything that Drake does anyway.
There we go.
What are we talking about? Like, even if he went out there and rapped over 12 Griselda tracks, y'all not gonna fuck with it anyway.
How it would go if you were to do stuff like that. Here's the first thing you do. Man, Benny last album was better than this. He ain't on no Nas, no J level rapping with these bars. This nigga need to go back singing.
Exactly. Let's just keep it real.
The first thing niggas would say, like the type of people that follow according to hip hop, this dynamic, this demographic, you motherfuckers. The shit didn't sound like Illmatic or it was written. These motherfuckers be like, this nigga can't rap. He need to go back to singing hooks and shit. What the fuck is this nigga doing? Get the fuck out of here with this shit.
Jermaine Johnson with the super chat.
Know who you are.
Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, Coop, at this stage and wealth, do Drake still need to chase first week album sales? Does he still need to dumb it down for his audience to double his dollars? I mean, if he's still signed to a major company, yeah, it's probably what his obligation is. When they see their fiscal year and they understand what the record industry hasn't sold at a certain point and it's his turn, yeah, he's got to make up for a lot of those losses because he's Drake. That's just the reality.
Look here. You want to hear some shit? Listen to this reality. His first week sales are probably about to outsell Magic 1, 2, and 3 combined. So don't kick that bullshit.
Well, I think what people feel like is he doesn't need...
This is why I was saying what I was saying about the importance of Nas's streams, because you see how the conversation gets flipped on the other side, and they're like, oh, all that shit don't matter. It mattered when it was Nas.
This is the thing, and I think this is what I disagree with the people fundamentally on. They feel like he's going to do these numbers regardless of what he makes. I disagree with that, and I think he just proved that with that dance album that he did a few months back. He proved that he can't just put out anything and achieve numbers. I mean, that's been proven. So, yeah, I mean, I disagree with y'all on that. Y'all think that whatever he puts down, he's just going to do numbers because he's Drake. Now the music has to be there. Obviously, he has to do a song with Sexy Red. Obviously, he has to do a song with Bad Bunny. Obviously, he has to do a song with 21 Savage. He has to do these things to achieve those numbers, and he did it. But this is what I think people are missing. He still gave us a record with J. Cole and didn't have to do that.
And he didn't. But listen to what I'm saying. Here's what people are missing. This isn't some new formula he created. It used to be Drake featuring Rick Ross. Drake featuring
exactly.
Drake featuring Lil Wayne. Drake featuring T.I. Drake featuring The Game. No, this is the same fucking formula. It's just a new cast of characters because we're old motherfuckers.
No. I think that's the point I wanted to make initially. I don't think people got a problem. I don't think people's problem more so is, like you said, with the formula, because the formula's been existed. You don't like the cast of characters because, honestly, this pool of newer artists might not be up to the level of quality in previous times. I think that's a fair assessment.
No, Sexy Red and Lil Yachty are not Lil Wayne and Nicki Minaj. Fuck no.
Yeah, or Rick Ross, or whatever, you know?
But we knew this.
Yeah. TJ with the super chat says, Drake will be 42 in 5 years. 2-year breaks will put him at 39. Where does he go content-wise? I mean, that's a question for him. I mean, I don't know. That's going to be a tough road to climb, and I'm just going to be honest there. I mean, I think most of the greats that we've seen them grow in the genre with, J. Cole and Kendrick included. content does matter when you start to get older and when you start to get more experienced in life. You would expect more from your entertainers. But once again, I kind of view Drake as an entertainer in that light, and I guess I never really viewed him as somebody who was going to give us some, One Love, or even even J. Cole's Wet Dreams and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, I never expected that from him, but if y'all feel like he has that in him and is disappointed based on his lack of growth there, I think that's a fair assessment too.
So, here's how you know that the hate is real. So many of y'all have been out here capping and caping for that trashy ass Mr. Morale album. It's trashy. And Mike, when we did the review, I said, Mike, there's not even any bangers on here. I said, Mike, where the bangers at? It's like, no. He made First Person Shooter with J. Cole. He made 8 a.m. in Charlotte. There's a couple of bangers on here. Mr. Morale didn't have that, so even for all this critique and all this shit y'all saying that Salm is trash, understand it's better than Mr. Morale. And it's better than Donda. All right? Trash.
Leah M with the super chat says A2HH.
Right.
Leah says A2HH, love y'all, but L take for today. Excuses.
No, y'all the ones full of excuses because when other people do this shit, y'all don't say nothing.
Let's see. Andrew Williams with the super chat says, y'all telling facts. I ain't gonna lie.
What the hell did I have to start taking up for Drake? I'm a Pusha T fan, Mike. What the fuck is going on?
Me too.
Pusha T is my favorite modern day rapper, and I'm sitting up here taking Drake today. Look at what y'all have done to me.
Pusha's my guy. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, same people in here saying 8 a.m. in Charlotte isn't good are the same people claiming that they would listen to a Drake rap album. If y'all won't listen to him on Conductor Beat, you won't listen to him on anything. Shaking my head.
Mike, you want to know what? Shout out to the brothers that run the Haters Ball, Mike. I think I may have to pull up on the Haters Ball, and we might have to have a Drake conversation because I would like to take all high-level hate situations to the Haters Ball from now on because it just seems fitting because the hate going on today is crazy. It's like he's getting attacked by other light-skinned brothers who used to rap. He's getting attacked by rap purists. He's getting attacked by music critics. All because this nigga singing too much and all he really needs to do is make some
He's always been singing too much.
That's my whole point. Like, why are people acting like this is brand new? It's like the album's too long. The nigga singing too much. When he's rapping, it's good. Mike, this is how we review every Drake album.
I would have loved to have been around doing this show when Love Below came out and see if people were saying the same things about that singing on there. Is Drake singing too much on Speakerbox Love Below? Web visibility.
Nigga. Singing on the Love Below.
Web visibility. Go ahead.
Drake rap more on this last project for my dogs. Oh, that's like triple the bar work that's on the fucking Love Below. And when we talk about Andre, you know what people do? They be like, he got a day in the life of Andre Benjamin.
Yep. That one time he rapped for 4 minutes.
You mean like you mean Drake just did on 8 a.m. in Charlotte, except for there's actual other bar work on the album that's extensive? Okay.
He's got like 10 of those, like over the course of his career. Web visibility with the $20 super chat showing love. He says, my problem with Drake is not that he's appealing to the mainstream audience. I just don't think that his mainstream singing songs now are as good as his older songs like Coming Home and the songs that he did with Rihanna, which were great. But I think every artist has that problem, web visibility. I think that when you're 14 years in your career, no one really thinks the stuff you're doing 14 years in is as good as the stuff you did in your first 5 years.
Unless you're Stevie Wonder and you're making Hotter Than July. What are we talking about?
And even then, that shit ain't Songs of Key of Life or Inner Visions. It's a great album. In retrospect, it's a great album. But can you see a Stevie fan saying, okay, this is cool, but it ain't this?
It's got Rocket Love and Master Blaster on it. So there's some,
but it ain't that album.
On there. There's some all-time Stevie stuff on Hotter Than July.
Yeah, Hotter Than July got bangers on it.
Not Inner Vision or songs though. No, it's not that.
Dot with the super chat says, Take Care has 12 to 18 songs of him rapping. Why does he need to sing for sales? We can't make excuses. Y'all look funny. Esquire, I want to hear what Esquire got to say here because I know he listens to Drake.
Mike, I gotta go in 5 minutes.
Oh shit. Okay, yeah, we gotta get. Damn, it was a couple. I guess we got to pick this up on Wednesday, man. This is a part tour. Esquire with the super chat says, "Not true. We hold comeback season. NWTS. If you're reading this, it's too late. And Take Care high for a reason. The majority of fans know that Drake is elite. We just want quality." Okay. Before we get out of here, man, we do need to talk about this double disc I Am real quick. Esquire with the super chat also says the formula is the problem. Regardless of the cast members, it's predictable and overly polarizing. Kendrick's voice can't please everybody. True. CJ Kidd with the super chat says, will we get that interview with the lady from last week this week? Fun fact, I thought that she was the plug, and I thought you guys were finally getting the interview. Yeah, you should get it this week.
It's fun. I actually talked to Taj last week, and I asked for an interview, and she was like, no. She was like, nah, Coop, I ain't going to do that. I was like, okay. I was like, I had to ask her.
Shout out to Fresh Out Hip Hop for the shout out. Love what y'all doing too. Jay Short with the super chat says, Nelly and Ja Dukes, I guess he made Ja Rule, made music that was rooted in hip hop and black culture. Drake makes music as someone is observing hip hop culture. We are not falling for the DJ Khaled cosplay hustle anymore. Whoa, strong words, strong words. Esquire with the super chat says the criticism is that Drake hasn't offered a personal reflection rap album in over a decade. Too much, look what we've done, etc. is what fans want. Okay. Esquire also says, instead of we get time capsule albums of what style is in for the times. Fans don't have emotional attachments to sales. Quality and authenticity is the key. I agree with all those things. I think everybody's right. Did you hear about the fact that it was Written's double album? Not it was Written, excuse me. I Am's double album that was unreleased, that we talk about was bootleg all the time, is actually getting released in vinyl on a special vinyl day. 4,000 copies. Have you read up on this?
Yeah.
Is it official as far as like what's actually on there? Because I think that's been the biggest discrepancy. Because I know even when we look on Wikipedia, I think you and I did this maybe last week. We were going through it because CJ Kidd asked about it and asked if that track list was accurate. Do you think we're going to get the actual accurate track list, or do you think that you initially got the wrong track list?
Because of the bootlegging, a lot of track lists have floated around.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've always been close to music and had people that love music, so I'd like to think, because I got that copy early, Mike.
Yeah.
I mean, I got that shit almost as soon as, so I feel like I got one of the first two versions of it, definitely. I'm more interested in the sequencing, because what I remember, how about this? This is why I always bring up the double album. That double album that I heard, those songs that I heard, that was clearly the best 3-album run a rapper had ever had in my mind. Illmatic, it was written in the original version of I Am. And that's where I feel like his legacy got hurt a little bit, because that happened the same time as Jay's Comeuppance. Jay's Comeuppance doesn't happen if that original version of I Am comes out. Because that's what I mean. That sales and numbers-wise, he was already like ahead of Jay and tracking towards something, but the quality of it, back when quality used to be the thing still too, like it was another thing if you was moving units, but it was another thing if like you was still making great shit. Right. It's like, no, I heard an album that could sell 3, 4, 5 million units, but was still like a great rap album. And I personally at the time thought that the original version of I Am was better than it was written, because it had more phases of Nas on it, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was written as Nas Escobar, the writer. When he says Esco is my nom de plume, that's it was written, where that starts at. No, I Am is like the guy from before Illmatic, and it was written. and is now, made a little bit of money and seen some things. So, and a lot of the stuff we've heard, there's supposed to be 2 more tracks that we have heard.
Wow.
That are supposed to be added to it. But I'm looking forward to it, but mostly about the sequencing. I'm definitely about to reach out and see how I can get my hands on one of the pieces of the vinyl. I imagine it's going to be pricey.
Yeah. CJ Kid with the super chat says, Nas, I Am Double OG disc. It's coming finally. We got another super chat here from DFW Herbie. He says that it's weighing heavy on my moral scale knowing that I'm going to sell another Citizen Kane. They think that the or as well. People who don't like dope don't know rap. He says, Cat Regime with the super chat says, haters ball every Monday after work and traffic. After work and traffic. I think that, man, I'm looking forward to hearing this. I think that it's a perfect timing based off of, what we've just received with the 2 consecutive series going on at the same time with Nas and Hit Boy. And I think this is a great close capsule. We were just talking about this, and I think we were thinking that it was going to come. 25th anniversary was going to be next year, or no, yeah, because I Am came out in '99. So yeah, I thought it was going to come next year. I hope that we can get something that,
Yeah, 99. It was spring of 99.
Okay, yeah. So I thought we were going to get something like that next year. I think that this is a good start off because, again, this is happening at the end of, 2023, excuse me. So it would be great if we could get this for everybody in 2024 because obviously with the limited amount of copies that are going to be available, everybody's not going to get their hands on this. But I think this is a dope release. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to hearing the 2 unreleased songs. Hopefully we can get some sort of insight from, maybe the record store or somebody involved in this so we can get a little bit more details leading up to that time period. But I feel like we spoke this into existence, brother, just like we have a few other things.
I was about to say, I do feel that we maybe have influenced this some with the way that I've personally gone on like epic 5-minute long soliloquies about this project. Here's how early the copy that I had was. There was an interlude with him talking over the Nas's Like beat, asking people not to bootleg the album.
I think that you'll be able to hear, like, quickly if it's the one that you heard back in the day, right?
Yeah. Like, how about this? Like, on the version that I had, New York State of Mind Part 2 hadn't even been made yet. That wasn't on there.
Okay, we got to get our hands on this.
Got early. That's what I mean. It's like, no, I got an early copy. The Beat the Project window was different and all that.
We got to get our hands on this. We got to listen to this either together, separate, whatever, and we got to do a show on this. So, anybody with any type of, you got contacts, whatever. Anybody who knows anything, send us some of this. Send us a copy or 2 copies or whatever because we got to talk about it and let people know because I feel like next year there's probably going to be an official one coming out. But this is a great stamp on an incredible run of, I guess, Nas's, 3rd career, if you will. The longevity is insane.
Breathtaking.
It is. There were a couple of things that I did want to talk about on this show, but I think we could save it for Wednesday because I think a lot of the times, we kind of take the air out of our Wednesday show sometimes with some of our Monday conversations. But there was a whole failed rapper notion that my son was speaking on, and there's another person I think gets a lot of hate too. I'm gonna say this and we're gonna get out of here. I'm by no stretch of the imagination a super fan of Lil Yachty's music like that, even though he did go to the high school that I went to, Pebblebrook High School, shout out. But I think that he gets a lot of hate, a lot of unnecessary hate, and I feel like he's around for a reason. I think the artists rock with him. I think he does a lot of the things behind the scenes. He could be somewhat of a Jerobi to artists where maybe his spirit does something for people. But whenever it comes to mentioning whack rappers or whatever, Yachty always seems to come up. I remember when Charlemagne told him on the show, on the Breakfast Club, that you are the poster child for whack rappers, and he wasn't saying that in a joking way. So I do want to kind of speak to that because my son said something about why are lyrical guys like Drake and J. Cole making songs with Lil Yachty, and I thought that was kind of like, that was a bit much. I didn't know where that was coming from. I get it, but they rock with the guy, obviously. So, any closing thoughts, though? I know we got to roll.
No. I gotta roll out. We can pick it up on Wednesday though.
Yeah.
Break bread about all. If I have time, I'll try to write down that track listing again.
Yeah. We'll have a to be continued. This is a part one for this week, guys.
I was a senior in high school. I remember Hardest Thing to Stay Alive came on early in the album too.
And we can dig a little bit deeper into that I Am double disc as well on Wednesday, because I think we'll have a little bit of time to really dig into that and really check off the records, and that way we'll be able to kind of cross-reference what we end up seeing. Because I'm sure somebody in this chat, I'm sure we're going to get our hands on it, but I'm sure somebody in this chat's going to have their hands on it too and be able to cross-reference. So let's do some digging and see what was there, what's not there, and I'm looking forward to hearing the unreleased songs too. So yeah, hit like and subscribe, everybody. Appreciate y'all checking in with us. Hit that bell icon so you know when we're live, and we're going to holler at y'all Wednesday.